Adjustment layers are a great way to change colors on objects in Photoshop, unless that object is gray or black or silver. You can see here you add a curves adjustment, a hue saturation, and you would think that that would change the color, but it changes everything because guess what? The tires are gray and the wheels are black and all the plastics are a dark grayish black. So here's the right way to change a dark color or a dark hue into any color in Photoshop. The first thing we need to do is separate this car from the background. It's pretty easy with the select subject. And if you want to work with this exact image, you can download that in the description below. But the correct first step is actually going to be to mask out anything that's body color from anything that's not body color. Now, for the sake of the video, I am going to speed this next part up, but I want you to be meticulous with this. So if you need to pause the video so that you can take your time, do this right, I would advise you to do that. In real life, this took me probably about 10-12 minutes to go through and really mask this out the right way. And so you'll see here, there are some places where you can kind of skip around, but going right up to the edge of that wheel well and really capturing the wheels themselves and all the black that's in there to make sure that we get all of that dark area. And then you'll see here, I'm trying to be smart with my selection. So I went up and actually captured those tail lights along with the wheels. So they're all in one general area together. We need to mask off this front black plastic part along with the headlights. Of course, we'll go down and do all of the trim here. I'm going to change this color to red so you can just see exactly where I'm masking this out. But again, remember, take your time with this, because if you miss any parts here, then there's the chance that it will get affected when you go in and change the color later, or when you add the color later. And so make sure that you are masking that out. Of course, any reflectors, you don't want those to get caught up with the bodywork. Interesting here, there's these hood vents and scoops on the hood, and I want to keep those what look like that black or gray color. And so again, just paying attention to what are the parts that actually need to change. Now, I think I actually missed a piece here. I didn't catch it until I went back and I was watching this to edit. And this, the A pillar into the B pillar into the back hatch part of the car, I believe that is actually supposed to stay a dark, like a carbon gray look. And you'll see here, because I didn't mask it off, it's actually going to change with everything else. But I did catch this little interior vent stabilizer piece that's on that fender vent, and then the little scoop in there looks like there's some black plastic that's bumping up against the color of the car. I'm going to grab that last little piece here of the reflector, and now we've successfully got the right parts of this car masked off. Now, what you just saw there is with all of those shape layers, if you go through and you hold down Shift Command or Shift Control and click through the thumbnail preview of each layer, it will create a selection. And then you can essentially take all of those selections together, make a layer mask on what is now a duplicate of the body. And now we've got this body separated out. Now, you'd be tempted at this point to just, again, add like some adjustment layers and think that you could change it. But again, this is not exactly the right way to do that. So you'll see here, if we add an adjustment layer, which I am going to add a curves adjustment to brighten this up a little bit just underneath the paint, the curves adjustment works well. And you end up with this lighter silver color, almost like an aluminum looking color. But now, if you went the route of adding a hue saturation layer, it's not going to actually change the color. So watch this. We're going to put a hue saturation layer. And you would think that you can now move these sliders around and it will add some color, but it's not going to be super rich and it's not going to give you the effect that you want. So you get kind of these almost like chrome effect, which is, again, if that's what you're looking for, a chrome effect, this is one way to do that. So use the hue saturation layer. But the next step in actually changing the paint color and making it still look like just an OEM standard paint is going to be to actually turn off this hue saturation layer. And then we're going to add a color layer with a multiply layer style. Now this does look a little bit harsh, but you'll notice that when we start turning the other layers back on, so the wheels, the plastics, it starts to tone that back a little bit. Also, this is where your curves adjustment and some other adjustment layers can come in handy to really dial this in, but you'll see pretty quickly we'll put the background back in, and now we can go back up to this color layer, and it's as simple as, I mean, you'll see me here turning on and off the curves, but we'll open up the color picker, and now we can just scroll through, and it literally changes the car's color to any color that you want. Full spectrum. This is the best way to change a gray or a silver or a black car or a black object. Isolate it in your piece and then be able to adjust that color accordingly. And just for fun, I've imported the old LFA color palette from Toyota, and you can see here pretty quickly, again, we can just open up that color layer. We're going to go ahead and turn those on and then double click on the color swatch itself. And then we can literally just use the color picker and click around in these factory colors to kind of dial this in and see what a factory color might look like on this GR GT. So I know what you're saying. Dude, okay, you've shown us all the colors. That's great. You haven't shown us white yet. How do you take black or silver or gray to white? So to do this, I'm actually going to take an excerpt from another video that I did here on the channel about the GR-GT, how much I think this car is just such a great modern version of a Japanese supercar. But all that being said, my favorite spec of the old LFA was always a clean white with a nice gold wheel. So we're going to go ahead and dial this in here. And what I want to show you really quickly is how to get this white color from the original dark grayish black color. So let's go ahead and time lapse through all this nonsense of me adding the wheels. If you want to see that, again, there's the other video about the GR-GT. Also, I've got a dedicated tutorial video about how to change wheels in Photoshop and make it actually look nice. And now we've got this car with the gold wheels, chrome rim, and we're going to add this color layer back in, and then we're going to change this to white. But what you'll see is that the white doesn't actually make it white, it makes it silver. So now we do need to add some more adjustment layers. And what I've found in my process is that if we add a hue saturation layer, and then we also add the vibrance layer. So the option you're looking for is the color and vibrance layer. And you'll see me here, I'm going to go ahead and pull up my adjustment layers palette. We're going to add the color and vibrance and a hue saturation layer to this. And what I want to do is I actually want to desaturate this a bit. And the reason why we need to do this is because grays, blacks are reflective. Usually there are actually other colors in there, even when it doesn't look like it. And so we need to get those out of there. So here, the vibrance and color layer, I've changed all of these settings here. So I've dropped the vibrance, the tint, and then raised the temperature just a little bit. And then you'll see here the hue saturation layer. We are actually going to move the saturation and the lightness up just a little bit to get it out of that teal and into a gray. But you'll see that in doing that gray with the white color layer, it all turns it to this nice pearl white. Now, this is subjective. You're going to have to adjust based on exactly the image that you're working on and what that looks like. But this is, for lack of a better way to put it, this is the best way to change a dark hued image to some other color. Hey, I hope you really enjoyed this tutorial. Hopefully it was easy to follow and you had everything you needed. But drop a comment, let me know if I messed anything up in the tutorial, or if you have any other thoughts. If you want to check out that GR-GT video, go ahead and check that out now. Otherwise, like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. God bless.